I'm back! It's Sunday again, drinky time. Hopefully everyone's working. Lots of folk on. Sunday night's a good one. Hey, Anne, how's it going? I didn't realise you could actually message before it actually started streaming. There you go. Clever, eh? Look jam of some sort. Wow, it's a boring look at it. Hey Daniel! David! Hey Jeff! More fun! Hey Texas, ABQ. Yay! So, hey Pontiac and Bobby the drummer, how's it going, Rob? An electric caveman. Rockin, so I think see there's people on. I'm allowed to start my bucky. Get a good shake. Bottle count this week it's a number 5. So could be near the top of the barrel. That a good thing? We just don't know. Hey Rocket Ronnie. Sorry about your guitar. I will mention that later on. What I learned about paint this week is the new paint I'm using for the bucky casters. Let it dry a couple of days rather than just go, it's painted, it'll be fine, sticking it in a box and then send it to Lockerbie. What happened is I think it was kind of the box was full of newspaper and stuff, and it basically just rubbed. I think it just gets sugared like mad in the van all the way down, and it's like it looks absolutely horrendous. Yeah. So I mean, bucky casters don't ever look absolutely amazing up close, but this thing looked horrendous from 100 yards away. So sorry, I will sort that out, Ronnie. That's good. I was going to buy a bottle of half bottle of Eldorado wine tonight because I've got the base that was advertised as a crap base that I changed the neck on that's kind of blue. So I'm thinking Eldorado perfect, and the shop doesn't sell it anymore. And they were like, we've not had Eldorado for ages. We only bought that because you couldn't get bucky at the start of lockdown. So I need to go on a wee bit of a search to try and find Eldorado. The reason I was only going to buy a half bottle is because I've got half of last week's bucky and I've got a couple of bottles of the Magnum stuff lying about. But I get talked into buying a whole bottle. Basically, I was like, give me a half bottle of bucky. It's like, well, just a half bottle? It's only like an extra £2 for a full bottle. And it's like, yeah, okay, fine. It doesn't work well. Yeah. So I've dug this out because of this bridge. This is my Greg Bennett. Actually, I was going to haven't actually mentioned this since I found out who Greg Bennett was. I run the Facebook page called Washburn Guitars, the Golden Era, which is what all these guitars are. Sort of early 80s, basically. And recently, a couple of months ago, Billy Rankin joined. Billy Rankin, who's quite famous around these parts, the Glasgow guitarist who was in Nazareth, and he also did a stint on rock radio, so that's kind of know him from that. He did have a solo career as well. But he was an actual Washburn in Dorset, and the guy that he dealt with was Greg Bennett. So, and who was apparently an absolutely lovely guy who unfortunately died last year. But Billy Rankin said he was absolutely brilliant, and we'd always come and see them whenever they were on tour in America and stuff. There was always one stop, and they would always get together and have a drink and get free guitars and talk about guitars and stuff. So Greg Bennett, I think, is a sort of Trev Wilkinson type dude, or an Alan Entwistle. You know, one of these folk that kind of goes to a company. Well, in this case, Samick Korea. Well, it says made in Indonesia on it, but Samick were originally Korean and then designs things. So this is a mini Flying V. This is a short scale. I can't remember exactly what the scale is on it, but I didn't think it could possibly work. It's a 19.5-inch scale, 19.25-inch scale, 19.25-inch scale. Which, if you've got a wee guitar, we'll get a wee bit of a chat going. Burke. He opened a bottle of Bucky before he opened the box. That's fine. Did you notice I'd actually written on the box as well, which you probably didn't because you were too shocked at the guitar? I did write tonic wine does not imply health-giving properties on the actual box. But yeah, no, I think even with a bottle of Bucky, it looked horrendous. As soon as you said it looked like it'd been dragged through a hedge, I thought it doesn't sound like it snapped in transit. It's just basically bad packing by me, and also not letting it dry. Bucky, Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm totally ignorant about where. I'm sorry, Brooklyn, New York. I could probably find New York on a map if you showed me a map of America with like. Could I find Albuquerque? Well, New Mexico. I could probably have a guess that that's just above Mexico, but I don't know. I'm really showing my my ignorance of. I mean, a lot of people in Britain basically laugh at the fact that Americans aren't good at knowing what countries are in Europe. But I mean, ask all those British people. It's like, yeah, here's a blank map of America, and here's the name of all the states. Fill it in. You know, it doesn't. We're not getting it. I only found out recently that you can find Kentucky because it actually the shape of Kentucky looks like a guy frying chicken in a pot, like the shape of the state. So I could find Kentucky. I could probably find Florida. New York, I don't know. Two folks from Albuquerque. Was it Albuquerque? Was that not where Bugs Bunny took a wrong turn in the? I don't know if anyone's ever seen the Roadrunner movie, which is one of the first VHSs I ever had as a kid. It's brilliant. I'm sure it's probably still brilliant, but I'm sure he's like Bunny and he comes out the ground and he's in the middle of a matador arena in Spain. Is that I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque, Koike. Possibly, yeah. Yeah, but I don't know what this war zone thing is. It sounds quite bad though. I don't know. No, we don't get American politics here very much. Yeah, beep beep. But let's talk about the Roadrunner movie, and that's why maybe one of the reasons I like heavy music. Does anyone remember Kill the Rabbit? As in, it was like Wagner's Ring thing done with Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny. And it's kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit. Yeah. I watched that film too many times. It was really funny. I need to look it out again. I seem to remember, I think one of my wee brothers bought it on DVD about 20 years ago. And I was like, look, and I didn't realize. Now the International District, the ghetto, I don't know. People literally don't think we're in America. Oh no, I believe you're in America. I'm sure I've seen pictures on your Facebook when you're like, it's sunny outside, and it's like, so it's obviously not here. Elmer Fudd. It's like, yeah, that's for the Americans, Fudd is an offensive term in Scotland. You call someone a Fudd. Boris Johnson is a Fudd, for example. And only recently someone actually told me what the letters stand for. Apparently it's female urinary device, but I don't think that's really it. It's basically a woman's private parts as a Fudd. And it's like I don't know if it's technically swearing. Double cut Sunday. Well, it could be double cut Sunday. It's I did have a guitar. I was meant to arrive on Friday, so I preempted it by putting out the other ones in the catalog. So when I do my what's in the box episodes on Monday when it arrives, you get a fair guess of what sort of thing you're aiming, what it's going to be. I'm America. Yeah. Rum turning Albuquerque. Coikey. That's actually from Kirky, so it's Albuquerque. Oh, David Hill putting up black flags. He's obviously a bit of a Henry Rollins fan. I don't really know that much Henry Rollins black fan. I do think hey Blacktooth, guide us quickly around for the Washburn Wings series in order of expensiveness. It goes Raven, then it goes Scavenger, which is behind the mic, which I don't move, but it's the same shape as the Raven. But I don't want to move the mic because it makes a noise. So Raven, and then I would go for Hawk, which is the one you can't see unless I rotate that round just a little bit. Yeah, it's always, I'm going to be able to I can sort of get that bass in, sort of that guitar. That's a Hawk. That's a later on and cheaper, not so good Hawk. And then after the Hawks, it would be the Vulture bass. Then after that, it would be the Falcon, and then the Eagle. The sense of the Saltire. I know it's shocking, isn't it? Yeah, so I did have I'm sorry about the political rant the other night. I don't think it was really that bad. I don't think I swore that much or really threatened to kill anyone. So, yeah, as far as politics, it goes fine. Yeah. Bobby the drummer. You're a Henry Rollins fan as well. Putting up your black flag. That was awesome in the studio earlier on. Bobby the drummer. Bobby the drummer. Bobby's also another Scottish term for your Willie. It's Bobby. Aye. But he's yeah, I know. We're in the studio this morning. We're in Berkeley 2, which is a big, the main rehearsal studio in Glasgow. I think it was actually Rob said that one time he was there, he saw Neil Young in there. And it's like walked past him in the hall, and it was like, who was that? I recognised him. It wasn't until I got back to the end of the room he was in. It was Neil Young, who was partly walking about listening at the doors of all the studios. So, but next time Neil Young's touring, I'm totally going to book the studio every day up until when Neil Young's playing, just in case I happen to meet Neil Young and say if he hangs about outside our door, he'd come in here. Let's have a jam. We can play T-Bone. Yeah, but I mean, can you believe the studio was actually busy? It's got a car park that must hold, I don't know, 10 cars, something like that, like out the front, and then on the street it's like parking meters. And 11:30 or 20 past 11, I arrived this morning, pure chock-a-block. Like, where are all these bands going in on a Sunday? Is that just because lockdown is over but hasn't been over long enough? Because I know that we used to go into the studio on a Friday night with Cranking House, and we would get like Studio 1, 2, or 3, which are like the ones that are near the door. They're much bigger, and you don't have to walk through hundreds of corridors to get to them, because any good band wouldn't be booking a rehearsal studio on a Friday night. They'd be playing a gig. So I've wondered maybe if, I assume that probably suits for a Saturday night as well. Although I did used to go into the studio with my bands. There's a band called G-Rock and a band called Forum, where we used to go in and just drink the bucky. That's where I learned how, if you're going to play the guitar and drink, see if you do it after a couple of songs and then start drinking, you're laughing. See if you get pissed before you go into the studio. The guitar's just like it's like got strings on it, and it's just like nothing's in tune. It sounds pure horrendous, and you can't play. So don't turn up drunk is the trick. Get drunk when you get there. Yeah. But what I'm complaining about there is the Saltire, which is, there's one there, so I'll just point at that. I know when they say they're putting up a black flag, Facebook doesn't like you, or now YouTube apparently doesn't like you using the Scottish flag. I bet you're allowed to use the Union Jack though, which is one we don't want. I was in Berkeley today, last Sunday, and Wednesday night or something like that. It's actually quite easy to tell when it's me because I've got Mad Malko written on my face mask, which is in the car. It basically says that across my face in pink writing. So kind of people, generally, it's dead difficult not to read something like, that's like, 6 letters or whatever it is, 3, 4, you know what I mean? If it just says Mad Malko, it's hard not to read that when it's written right on someone's face and you're talking to them. No, you got to put a roll your tongue, and it's not twangy. You don't say it like when you say Telecaster. Oh, is that us getting on with? I'm just going to go back a bit. Yeah, no, Blacktooth. If you, I've done lots of videos on these. I've even got a website for them for the Wishburn Wings, and this is the entire cauldron. A cauldron being a term of like a group of birds of prey because it's hawk, falcon, and all that. It always annoyed me that the scavenger. I have had this argument quite a lot of times with my pal Michael in Denmark. Scavenger is not a type of bird. A scavenger could be a hyena. Yes, it could be a vulture and a crow are scavengers, but so's a hyena. So it's like it's not a bird. It's not a good name. It should have been called something else. Yeah, that's really ran over. That's the Raven. The one that I bought is going to be, because that's the whole set, that one there's like an extra. This other one is going to be a new one that doesn't actually exist anywhere else in the world. So I'm going to, basically it's one of these, and I'm going to modify it and maybe make a kestrel. I don't know yet. I'm not decided. No, you got to put a roll on your tongue and it's not twangy. Albuquerque. Kirky. You don't say it when you like a Telecaster. Is that Telecaster or is it Telecaster? Telecaster. I'll just say telly. You're laughing. I love it, wee Bobby. Yeah. I watched Taggart. Well, there you go. That's one of the things. There's various locations, and I don't really remember Taggart. I remember it being on, but I think I was slightly too young. I remember this will date me quite accurately. In 1988, there was a Glasgow Garden Festival, which was like a sort of, I don't know, I think it ran over the summer, and it was like a city of culture thing, and then like a roller coaster and various plants and rides and stuff like that. And I went to the Glasgow Garden Festival with the school. I could date it by the time it was the last Rangers strip I ever owned. I had the Rangers one that was kind of like checkered, and it had McEwen's lager on the front. I had that. I remember wearing that T-shirt then. I never really liked football, but everyone else was wearing them, so I had a Rangers top. And I saw Taggart being filmed, and when we went back to the bus, there was about half a dozen or 10 folk that were late because they'd hung about and got signatures from Mark McManus or something like that when they were filming Taggart. So there you go. Taggart. All right, let's keep up. I still don't know the roll your tongue. Yeah. Is everyone first band a bunch of dudes looking for an excuse to get fucked up? Well, not for me, no, because the drummer was a girl. Angie, the drummer. My first band I was in. Did we have a name? We were actually called Whitey, which now sounds very racist. But at the time, a whitey was for us was like when you've had too much to drink, you go white and puke. So, oh, he's whiting. It wasn't like a pure, like a racial slang term. And yeah, and I joined that band, and they already had 2 guitarists and a lead guitarist, and that was the band. And I was joining playing guitar, so that was where I kind of joined. And it was like, yeah, right. Well, there's like 4 of us playing guitar and nothing else, and it's like Michael knows a drummer. It's college, so we had a drummer, and then that's when I borrowed a bass for the following week. We went in the studio, and I think we only had 1 song. We played Blur song 2 and 1 original song called "I Want to Know," and that was it. And we played that for like an hour, and it was amazing. And the first time we're playing Blur song 2, in the video, he stomps on a distortion pedal and jumps off the wall. So playing the bass, I did that. Had the rat pedal, actually the same rat pedal I've still got just now. And I jumped off the wall, and it was these big foam things, which aren't there anymore in Berkeley. It was Berkeley 2, and or Berkeley 1. No, I think it was still called Berkeley 2. It was a different place. And it had these big wooden sort of foam-filled things, and I jumped off this thing, and it pure came off and pure ripped all the raw plugs out. at the walls, and that was about 3 minutes into my first ever time playing in a band with so many people in it. Yeah, but yeah, getting drunk's obviously part of it. We're in the first band a bunch of dudes. I'm a drummer, but the last year I've been trying to learn to play guitar. You make skateboard guitars. You like to play them. I had a wee shot of actually teaching Ali, who's the drummer in my band Cranking House, my other drummer. So I'm not being offensive saying that Rob there is my drummer. It's like I'm his bass player as well, so it kind of works both ways. But trying to teach him to play, and he's pretty good in the drums, but it's like trying to teach him the bass. He's like, I really want to be able to do slapping and popping. So he's kind of giving it the pure ba-dum, 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 bum, 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 and it's like, yeah, you can't start with that. You know, he's just kind of, and it's I can sort of see where the drumming thing comes in, but you need to get the note before you can go. Seems a bit crazy. Social media pathetic. Yeah, Blacktooth. I take it you're from here. If you know, it's been to try not to talk about politics, but yeah, I mean, independence did kind of win. Like in a system that's designed so that no party can win, kind of still won. And yes, it's like when you look at I was watching the updates. The only thing I could find was on the BBC. I refused to pay my BBC license, so I don't have a telly anymore, and I won't sign into iPlayer. And it's just like the way they were wording it. It was just like pure yes. So it's like I can't even. The spin that's put on it's pure ridiculous. Yeah, drummer switched to guitar. Well, and drums are hard. The thing about drums is that I don't know. A lot of guitarists switch to bass. I know that. You get like two types of bass player. You get the bass player who, this is like me and Paul, where you turn up and there's already 4 guitarists in the band, and because you're the best guitarist, you're the one that's best at playing bass. Therefore, you stick to the bass. That's what happened there. That's what with Paul McCartney as well. He was like a guitarist, but he was miles better than the other 3 or whatever it was playing bass. Has anyone ever succeeded playing drums and then going at the bass? Oh, there's that guy. What's his name? Bit famous, silly guitar. Was Van Halen not a drummer? Eddie Van Halen. I know his brother's a drummer, but I mean, I think he was a drummer before he changed the guitar. Craig, I did change the days, but I decided that Sunday nights was more fun. I think it's more because it's the end of the weekend. I can properly get tanked into the bucky. You know, it's like I think I missed a few folk because it's kind of because of lockdowns up. If you're still of the age where you can actually go out and talk to your pals and get steaming, then you're doing that. And you're not going to sit with your pals and watch me. That's silly. This is for sitting on their own, having a wee drink. Some stuff of the old whitey. I've not whited in a while. Although I have to be honest, the last time I whited was I was in the studio with Cranking House. I don't think I ever told the guys this. And I don't know, it must have been a 6 to 9 or something. And it was a really good jam. And I came back and I decided I would have a bottle of bucky. And I think I'd maybe not had any dinner. And so I maybe got back here about 9:30, 10 o'clock. Started the bucky, and I think at 11 o'clock I went for a wee puke. That must have been about a year and a half ago, the last time I puked. Invited. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she'll definitely not be watching this, but Angie was quite a wee bit. No, I don't want to say this in case it ever gets round to it ever, and I would be totally embarrassed. Okay, I'll say she's a little bit, but no, not really. Although I do quite fancy Brienne of Tarth, but right, I didn't say that. This will be getting deleted. I didn't say they were like Brienne of Tarth. If you don't know who that is, then she's beautiful. Yeah, this is great. That's great. Thanks so much for asking me stuff. I totally can't keep up, and I'm just rabbiting on. It's great fun. It's fantastic. It's like going and getting drunk with your pals, but they don't actually get to talk. You can just talk. They can't interrupt you. Well, you can, but you can't. I'll just ignore you. It's great. What's all the guitars in the background? They moved them around. They're all double cuts. Yeah, they're all Washburn Wings series. I said this earlier on. During the week, you'll see why I've got the Washburn Wing series out. Apart from the fact that is my current Black Sabbath After the End bass. That's my C sharp bass because I've now split it. I don't know, the guitarist Craig has he used to use a Digitech drop pedal for tuning down, and I just stayed in E. And I realised that I was kind of doubling some stuff up. So I'm now playing two basses because Sabbath, like the first two albums, are pretty much standard tuning. I thought I'd muted that. Hold on. No, it's nothing. Yeah. So yes, so as I was saying, I've now got my Epiphone EBO, which are painted stripes, like black and white stripes, which is kind of like the bass that Geezer Butler plays in the Never Say Die video, if you ever see that on Top of the Pops. And then as I use that for standard tuning for the first couple albums, like Paranoid and Warpigs and all that, and then that comes in, the C sharp tuning came in, sort of Master Reality pretty much onwards. They're kind of split up, and that's my C sharp guitar. And last week we were in the studio, I had a terrible time with that. It wasn't working. Fine with the Epiphone, just a wee shitty EBO with an extra pickup, boosted, but still just an EBO. And then that was just, and I realised when I was watching the video I'd taken, the compressor, which I'd set up to work with EBO, which was working fine with EBO, with that, the compressor was on as soon as I even breathed on it. You can see the wee light coming on, so that the guitar was like off and then on at full bung, and there was no variance I could get out it, so it wasn't working. Do struggle a little bit with that because it sounds silly, like you want sustain, yeah. So like a lot of these Wings ones, it's like for sustain you get, right, so you get heavy bastard guitar, right? And then you get like a pure solid brass saddles, pure clamped and through strung, right, for sustain. And then you get like it's through neck, so you get that for sustain, and then you've got brass at the top as well, so it's like pure a sustain beast. And then you get an idiot like me who buys them and complains in the studio that there's just too much sustain. I mean, generally when I'm playing that, I can hit a note and it just goes forever. It's like having a sustainer on it because I'm using kind of fuzz, and it's up so flipping loud as well. But it really is ridiculous. I was, for a wee bit of a joke today, I was kind of at the end of one of the songs, I was up here, we ended in C sharp, and I just gave it the old dung, and it was like, yeah, and everyone has stopped. Up here, and it's still going at full whack with the one hit, and it's like, yeah, I'll just end it. Great fun. I'm playing a Samick Greg Bennett Mini Flying V. The reason, as I said, is this bridge, because I'm making a Tony Iommi SG just now, and that's the bridge that Tony Iommi's got on his guitar. But that one is a Leo Kwan Badass Made in America bridge, which I could put on it. It cost a tenner on eBay, right? But they're on eBay just now at 80 quid. It's like, I don't want to put that on my Tony Iommi project if I'm going to sell it, which I'm probably going to do. I've got an SG, I don't need another one. So I was thinking of swapping it over with this one, because they just look identical. And this is just a cheapy Chinese thing. This guitar actually didn't have a bridge when I got it. It just had the, in a Tunematic, you get the stop bar and then you get the bridge bit. It just had the stop bar. Seemed all right. Hey, try and catch up. That's Berkey. Still talking about Berkey. The Kirky. Should it not be done like rounded down to Kirky? Because if you're Albuquerque, it'd not be Kirky. And I'm from Kirky. Kirky's only 2 miles in that direction. That's Kirkintilloch, which gets shortened to Kirky. But there you go. Shills and self-love egos, that's me. It's like, I would call myself a musician. Well, I'm in 2 bands. I wasn't when I started the channel. I've only been in 2 bands for the last, for like a year or something like that. And then a year off with this lockdown thing, the virus. But yeah, I don't know. But I mean, the thing is, I don't know what it would come down to. Someone was talking to me the other day about, is it a Clancy or a Glancy or a whatever it is the cheap guitar is you get. It's like, it's cheaper than Harley Benton, and it's the big thing. You see all the YouTube channels doing it. I don't know. I'd love to think that if someone just gave me a free guitar, I would be able to get up and lie and say it's really good. I don't know if I would though. It's like, maybe there's a money point where you suddenly go, all right, you're giving me 500 quid, are you? Right? Do I go on and lie to you lot? It's like, I don't know. You can sort of tell. If it's something I don't like, which does happen sometimes when reviewing fixing guitars up and stuff like that, something I don't like, I just point out the good bits. You'll just notice me not pointing out very much that's good, and maybe I won't be jamming on it for very long or playing it particularly well. Just I find I can't play really. If it's a guitar I don't really like, which I mean, there's plenty of guitars out there that are really good guitars. They're just totally not for me, and I just don't like them. The one that comes to mind is with the Dean ML. I had a Dean ML that was camouflaged, and it was a great guitar. It really was. I just couldn't play it. It was just like the look and all that, just pure yuck. Overdrive pedals. It's like I've got about. Oh damn! I think the US Dream's an overdrive pedal. It's meant to be a copy of a Sir Riot. Apparently, I used that for. I was using it there. In fact, was it on just now? That one. Man, it's a wee guitar. But I don't stack them at all. I've never got more than one on. It's one or the other. I think, see, to be honest, like the US Dream, the Rat, the Twin Note Fuzz, the Delamo Fuzz, and the Handmade Super Fuzz things are the only pedals I really touch. And I think, see, if you just got the right pedal and just you can adjust and get those four sounds I've got. I never stack them. I never touch them. Basically, the reason I've got two fuzzes is one will have a sort of lower fuzz and one will have a higher fuzz. Even if it's two pedals the same, I could have probably done that with four pedals the same. You know what I mean? I basically don't use pedals at all. Even though, looking there, I don't know if you can see, I've got like an upper shelf, and then I've got a lower shelf, and then I've got an even lower shelf of pedals. But really, I use one of the distortion pedals and the loop pedal on the drummer. That's it. I very rarely. I moved all the pedals up here, all this sort of delay and tremolo and chorus and all that, so that maybe I figured that, see, if I could reach them without having to bend down, I'd maybe use them a bit more. They're in a loop that I can operate from the floor, but it's just, I'm just not a pedal guy. I actually was in the studio with Cranking House, and I decided that, which is a band I play guitar in, sort of three-piece guitar, bass, and drums, and a singer, rock band playing through my soft tech. And I decided I was going to use a pedal, so I took in all of them basically to see which one would work, and none of them, because I just use the amp on its own. And see, to be honest, it's like none of them sounded better than the amp did without any pedals in front of it. It's just the way it works is like on pretty much any guitar on that soft tech, it's really distorted and sounds like there's a rat pedal on when it's on at full bung. So if you kind of throttle back to 8, you get kind of clean, or not clean, but sort of cleanish John Fogerty Creedence Clearwater Revival type clean. And then you crank it up, you get a solo tone. It's like there's no other. I don't need any other sounds. Yeah. So sorry. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there are people that stack pedals and all that, but I just don't have the time. I don't know. I would rather spend the time just dealing with a clean sound, and I really do maintain that if that amp, if there was some way of putting the loop pedal into it, I would just use the amp, and it's got like a drive channel on it. I don't need anything else. That was why I bought that amp. I quite fancied the idea of having an amp that you can just, not without using any pedals at all. But as soon as I realised, I'll use the loop pedal all the time, put the loop pedal in, and then you can't record a clean rhythm track and then play distortion over the top. If you do it that way, you need to have a pedal in front. Yeah. Sorry, I'm a wee bit behind. Glad you mentioned C-sharp tuning. C-sharp tuning, Black Sabbath apparently didn't know. They didn't call it C-sharp tuning. They just played it in E. It's just they tuned the guitars down at the start to make them sound heavier. So it's like, it's kind of that right, because I think in 1972, 1971. When's Master of Reality? I should know. I've painted the band logo on my amp. I think it's 1971 or 72. I don't think you really knew. Nobody down-tuned. They just tuned down because Tony Iommi's fingers were kind of, missing. The two middle fingers were missing, so they hurt. So he just put really light strings on and tuned them down so they didn't hurt his fingers. And as a byproduct, heavy metal was born. Hold on, I'm just scroll up a wee bit. You're all been too good with questions, so I'm not actually getting a chance to answer them all. It's actually how long does a note chord ring in a song? Yes, I agree. Well, I don't know how the sustain thing works. It's good to have it, but I mean, for many years, it was for that one there, my Washburn Wing, the Falcon. I really felt I wasn't worthy of playing it for a couple of years having it. I used to have it always on display, so if anyone came around, it was like, look at this, because I mean, it's the best guitar in the world when you look at it. I mean, you compare that to like a Gibson Les Paul Standard, and you just go, oh, this Les Paul's kind of a bit bland, isn't it? That thing's just ridiculous. But the sustain is like, you end up noticing that, see, when you're playing like a wee riff, you don't have to physically stop the notes ringing because they just die out. It's great. When it was on that, you suddenly realise that, yeah, a chord, and the note's still ringing when you come back in, like 30 seconds later. It's really difficult. But again, that's the thing about having, it's weighs a ton, solid rosewood top, you know what I mean? 5-piece neck through. The bridge is called a harmonic lock. So it's through strung like a Telecaster. It's got brass saddles, and the saddles are all clamped together with Allen screws, so it doesn't move. And then you've got power sustain pickups, and then you've got, you know, as I said, through neck and a brass nut. So it's like everything there's for sustain, and all put together, it does sustain more than any guitar I've ever had, apart from maybe the guitar I just fitted a sustainer to. Yeah, that's just great. Thanks so much for joining me. Brilliant. And Blacktooth, basically, the answer to your question is Parisian what ways? Because apparently, I remember seeing an interview with Gary Moore, and there's a big long note where he goes, and holds it forever. And apparently he was doing a tour, and it was getting a bit annoying because there was these guys that would come up to him and go, up here, 1 minute 26 tonight. They would time how long he held that note. Have I played any Levinson blades? Yes, my friend used to have a couple of them, and there was different ones. Is it Levinson blade? There's a is it Swiss or Swedish version, and then I think there's a Japanese version, and then I think there's a more modern version. There were amazing strats. I thought at the time, very like a Schecter, like an original Schecter, not one of your Diamond series. It's very much what I imagine. I've never played one like a Sir or a James Taylor, something like that, you know, just very expensive feeling. The one my pal had the most amazing finish on it. I'd like I'm not going to see it on this one, but I'll see it on this actually. When you get like the sort of, are you going to see the grain lines? Yeah. So see these grain lines here, this zigzaggy thing, they were somehow filled in silver. So it was like you had like silver grain lines, but on it was a dark purple, a sort of black to purple sunburst, and it did. I mean, it just looked fantastic. I'm sure it had other fancy things on it. It had like funny tuners that had wee extra bits, maybe locking tuners, and it had like, everything on it was just that little bit over engineered. You know, the truss rod cover was a bit odd and all that. But I mean, it was a stunning guitar. Amazing. 2 more bands than most YouTubers. Well, maybe. To be honest, I have not been in a band. I did do a stint playing with funk legend Jesse Ray, who got 250 votes in the Scottish Parliament election down south, where one of the Conservatives won. But he was going a bit mental. Apart from that, I don't think I've been in a band since like 2001, 2002. You know, it's like 17, 18 years, something like that. And then I went through a stage, I must have tried out for about 20 bands, and then ended up with a massive ego because I got in every single band. And it's like they're right after like 3 minutes of playing. And I was like, I don't really want to be in this band. And it kept happening, and I sort of gave up. And then I saw the advert 2 years ago, probably, maybe a bit more than that, 2.5 years ago. And it was like the Black Sabbath cartoon that you've all seen, where it's like Ozzy's fighting with a dog or something. And it was just like, they're looking for Geezer. And I was like, right, that sounds good. That's like a tribute band for the only band that I would ever be in a tribute band for, and the Geezer Butler thing. And it's like, because that was how I learned to play bass. It's like not very many people could do the Geezer Butler thing because they're too good. Whereas I kind of learned bass and guitar at the same time. So the bending notes and just playing riffs things really works rather than playing proper bass, if you know what I mean. It's great fun playing it. It also means I can play mad solos behind all the guitar solos because it's just, and just make it up. Fantastic fun. In a couple of weeks, I'll put a couple of songs up from one of the rehearsals. Rob's on here just now. It's like I haven't actually watched the one from tonight yet. It took me ages to edit it. It's really annoying. We've got a gig coming up in 8 weeks or something. To actually get back on and then get back out there and start proper gigging. We had a really good. I was in band for 6 months. Had two gigs booked. It might have been more than two. Did the first gig. First gig's always bad. It was I played really badly at it. And then the second gig was on the following weekend. The singer quit. And it was like, oh. And then about a year later, or maybe it took us 6 months to find Brian, our new Aussie, who is awesome. I was listening to him. Just listened to it back earlier on. He really does. Apart from you couldn't tell it wasn't Aussie in his prime. He's that good. But and then we got like I think it was maybe 3 or 4 gigs we had booked. We did one, and then 2 days later, the lockdown hit, and it's like that gig was all. It went quite well. I think it's on YouTube, but we only had like 25 minutes, and things went bad. Someone banged into the bass after the second song, the third song. Someone came on stage and knocked the bass out of tune, and I kind of didn't notice. So basically, I'm just now going to check. It's like, lessons learned. I'm going to try and catch up a little bit. Glary horseshit balsa weight. Well, maybe. I don't know. See, the thing is, I don't like Gibson Les Pauls, right? But if Gibson Les Pauls were like 300 quid, oh, it's amazing. It's like I'm very much a case of I want to get a good guitar for how much I pay, and it's like I just don't think, especially it's like you're talking about £1,500, £2,000. They're not. Guitars aren't worth that. I mean, you can pick up the Washburn Wings, which are better, like on paper, than them for way less than that. So I'm not bothered. It's the same like sometimes the cheap ones. Like I really like the Squier Bullet Mustang. It's a really nice wee guitar. It does feel cheap, but it's like 110 quid. Whereas when you go to like a Squier Classic Vibe, which everyone raves about and I don't like, it's the same guitar as the £110 Mustang, but it's got better paint on it. It still feels cheap. It doesn't feel like an expensive guitar. Do you know what I mean? So that's sort of. Did you answer my question about the Sharp Sharon tuning? I don't think I did. What's Sharp? I want to play. Just talking about playing Limp Bizkit in C Sharp. Oh, C Sharp tuning. It's basically it's just the same tuning apart from everyone's down. Like E, there's like 1, 2, 3 notes. So it's like you just drop it down to C Sharp and then tune everything to the same relative. So it's like, what is it? C Sharp, F Sharp. I can't even remember. I just do it the old 5th fret way to try and tune it. Good fun. Doing some gardening, the phone went off. We're getting well caught up here. Hold on. Bobby the drummer into the void. Bobby the drummer can fair drum into the void. We were kicking that today. It was sounding awesome. That might be one of the ones where I was deciding to try and let that open C Sharp ring for pure ridiculous amounts of time. Pure ding 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 ding, and I'm just giving it and it just stays there. Amazing. 24-inch bass drum. I was talking to Rob about this earlier on. He asked me earlier on if I could fit legs, like the stand legs on the bottom to a 26-inch bass drum to go for the 226 inches. And then actually meant to do this. I'll do it right now. That big? That is much bigger than a bass drum, isn't it? They must normally be. But right, we'll do it that way. It must be. A bass drum must normally, 20? Is that a normal size for a bass drum? Maybe even smaller than that. Yeah. So we'll be making 26-inch bass drums. It probably means if you're going to use the two 26-inch bass drums, I'm going to have to dig out the Deep Thought and use that to compete. Because that amp is stupendous. It's just so big that Really, no normal band ever needs an amp as big as that. That is far more sensible. 150 watt, one speaker, 400 watt, 410. You know, it's like, it's so loud, it's pure stupid. To the point of you just turn it up and you go, it doesn't sound that loud, but you can actually feel your teeth vibrating. Really stupid. And Fairy Wear Boots is one of the ones we do. Fairy Wear Boots is a funny song. I never meant anything to me. It's like pure, yeah, I know the song. It's great. It wouldn't have been on my Sabbath greatest hits with 40 songs on it. But when we started playing it in this band, it's just amazing. It's like the start bit, pure dun 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 dun, and I can do what I want there. It's pure fantastic fun. Ludwig Visitor or talking about drum kits. I don't know anything about drum kits. Will be FWB my favourite when we play. Fairies Wear Boots. I was like, up here, FWB. I don't know that make. I've heard of Ludwig, but not yeah. I think we're just really good at it, or I think Craig really good at it. We do need to get Craig back with a delay pedal, though it doesn't sound the same without that one delay pedal, just for that bit, but I mean for the intro. I'll try and catch up. Sweetleaf, we tried to play Sweetleaf today. We ended up just getting into a bit of an argument of what key it's in, and then we never actually played it. It's like, because it's in, I think it's in B, maybe. It's kind of weird, because I learned how to play all the Sabbath songs in standard tuning, but playing along with the record. So I'm playing Sweetleaf in the right key, but not in the tuning that it should be. So it might be an octave up, depending on what it is. We're actually going to talking about trying to do a wee sort of medley with Sweetleaf in it. I guess Sweetleaf's another one. It wasn't one of my top 20 Sabbath songs, but playing it suddenly, like, yeah. The other one, which we've not really done that much, is Iron Man. Iron Man I always thought was a little bit cheesy, but it's really fun to play, especially once you work out the riff, because it's not da 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 da. It's boom boom bum bum bum. It's all to do with the sliding between the notes. So when you get it right, it's pure. Yeah, it's got a real groove to it. But it's all to do with not the notes. It's the way you play it. Really makes that one kick. Great fun. But I mean, the thing is, we've only got a 40-minute set, and how do you do a 40-minute set when you can Black Sabbath? I mean, even then, we're not even looking at like the Dio. You know, we're just talking about Aussie albums, and we're kind of not. I like all 8 Aussie albums. The rest of the band aren't quite so keen. I don't know. There's bits, even bits that Never Say Die, but I still rate Technical Ecstasy as good, and I think Sabotage is the best one. But there's so many songs in there. It's like, how do you make an hour set out of Black Sabbath when you can play all of them? And it's like the difference when you play the ones that you can never remember the names of. We've been doing one called Lord of This World, which has been annoying me for 6 months because I keep singing it. It's the one that goes no. I can't even remember, but as soon as it plays 2 notes, you're like, that's amazing. You just didn't know it was called Lord of This World because it doesn't have a really catchy title. But that's really looking forward to playing that. We're playing National Acrobat today, and it was just the singer Brian is just absolutely kills it. And I think that was his suggestion the first time he ever came in. So I do want to play that, and I was like, the other 2 guys I don't know, and I was like, because I've only been in the band for, I was the new guy. I was like, I'll play that. I can play that. It was just like brilliant at it. Oh, sorry, I'm behind. Oh, I think I might have actually almost caught up. 1,500. That for me talking about Les Pauls. Yeah, I mean, I think to be honest, 1,500 quid. You're not still almost at like sort of Les Paul studio type ones. Play Sweetleaf with a twist. We play Simply Do This middle. Well, technically we do. I don't know if we've ever actually done it. We've all agreed it sounds like a great idea. Whether we've actually done it or not, I don't know. I think there's so many bits we could do a medley, just taking bits. When Brian or Ozzy is pure watching the videos, it's great seeing him and he's playing air guitar and stuff during and getting right into it. But it's just like in Black Sabbath, if you're just the singer, there are huge sections of music where it's just solos and there's no singing. So it's like the previous singer we had, I won't be watching this anyway, kind of used to go and he'd be going sitting in a corner playing his phone, and it was like pure, no, this didn't like that at all. Whereas Brian just kind of gets into it. It's great. We're trying not to make it. So if we do a medley, we try and do a medley with lots of singing bits stuck in it rather than lots of solos stuck in it. Oh, hold on. I'm just trying to catch up with. I'm not really getting any interest in Les Pauls. You get better guitars. These things are going up in price a lot. The expensive wings. Someone actually asked me the other day. They've got a black one coming up on eBay next week. Is in London. This one, the Eagle, which is the top of the range. This thing is pure silly. I mean, it's like, how do you get fancier than the Falcon? And it's like you go for an Eagle, and it's like, look at the binder. This is getting a go with my restoring polish because it should be shiny and it's not. It's kind of matte, but it's got the binding all the way around there. Look at the fret markings, ebony fingerboard binding and stuff. The power sustain pickups, push pull pots. It's just the ultimate. You scoop there on the neck. You can't see it. It's the ultimate guitar, and it was like the guy was asking me how much I should be trying to sell it for, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, there was one of them for sale in Strung Out Music in Glasgow for $1,000, and it wasn't there the following week I went in. So somebody maybe made an offer and bought it for much less than that, or maybe the seller decided to take it back out of the place, but whatever, it's gone. This didn't have and move all the equipment out of my house. Right. Well, that doesn't sound too much fun. It's the thing is that see once you get old like us, when you were about 43, that's my age, right? So you're even older than me now, that's cool. Sorry. But I think Rob's younger than me, but pretty much everyone else that's in the two bands I'm in are older than me, and it's like it's so much nicer being in bands now than it was when I was 20. Because when you were 20 or under 20 in your bands, it was always like mad egomaniacs in the band who would like, pure, oh, this is my song, does this, and it's like pure, you can't have A and B flat one after. It sounds pure rank, you know. It's like pure, my song, and it wouldn't change in, you know, like total nuts. And it's like now I don't just in the two bands I'm in just now, the Black Sabbath band and the Cranking House band, everyone's really nice. As my pal said, Peck, who was in bands with before, was like, does that not just mean that you're the dick? And it's like, probably does, but it doesn't really affect me. So maybe I'm the annoying one in the band. But but I think it's just the thing about once you get to sort of in your 40s and stuff like that, everyone who's playing in a band has been in 10 bands, and every one of those people has been in bands with a guy or somebody who's pure difficult, and they now know how to deal with it so nobody's difficult. You know, it's just, what's the point? You're all kind of aiming just to have fun and do the best. You know, you're all aiming for the best sound or the best songs or the best performance. It's really, I don't really get told to do that much. I kind of want to though. It's like pure, you know, it's like trying extra bits, and it's like pure. I want someone to say, "Go to no do that," sort of thing. It's like it's all great, but it's like, don't do that. You know, can you do that there, or maybe slow that bit down? It's like, I kind of want other people to do that. I must just be perfect. Have you played professional drums? Wow. I was going to say I might have some projects, but I've actually got my drummers on here tonight, so I'll ask him first. Spire Architect. Spire Architect was my favourite one to play in the band. We've not done it since we got the new singer, but it's like when you start looking at Blacktooth, when you start looking at the Sabbath album tracks, it really is ridiculous. I mean, we're doing this gig and you're sitting there and it's like 40 minutes or something, and it's like you got to play Black Sabbath, you got to play Paranoid, you got to play Iron Man, you got to play War Pigs, all these ones. But see if for every Spiral Architect, Cornucopia, Lord of this world, Looking for Today, all these songs, every one of them is the ones that people are going to go, that's my favourite song, and everyone's going to say that because they're going to expect the classics. Actually, today we were talking about doing Headless Cross. There's like Brian, the singer, was like, does anyone ever cover the Tony Martin here? And I was like, here, Headless Cross is good. And he's like, it's got some good songs on it. I'll get a picture disc. But no, we don't do that. how old are you? Your head's full of information. Me, I'm 43, and it's just full of random useless information. I don't know anything about anything important. Only stuff that's not important. Paul Reed Smith. I quite like the guy, Paul Reed Smith. He's one of those folk that's got a really awkward sense of humour, but because he's American, sorry, I know there's Americans on here, they're not self-deprecating enough, so he comes across as a bit of an asshole. But I think he is funny, and I don't think he means it. He's kind of difficult. Hey Jess, I forgot to send you that bass neck. I'll do that after this. Jess has agreed to take the bass neck from the actually advertised as crap bass, which the frets are leaving the fretboard all the way along the top edge, and the truss rod just wobbles when you tighten it. So good luck with that. I'm sending it more of a. I'm hoping you're looking at it as a challenge. So up here, Malko said this was shite and just had to go in the bin. I'll show him. Hopefully you get it working. It'd be great if you did. ACP, Simon the Lyrical Poets. Right? Don't care about Gibson. I just don't like the price of Gibsons, and the fact that they're so the thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like the price and the fact that everyone else likes them. It's like, even to be honest, there's an element. Even if I did like them, I wouldn't like them just so it was different from everyone else, just to be awkward. You know what I mean? I'm sure there was elements of that when. Maybe not Oasis, but when Britpop was big, when I was like, 16, 17, and it was like Blur and all that. I didn't really, some of it, now I can listen back to it and actually like some of it. A bit of Supergrass, and some of that, they've got some good stuff, but at the time, it was like, Sabbath, Deep Purple, not Judas Priest yet, the Stones. Why you listen to, I couldn't understand how somebody could listen to, Oasis or something, and they'd not heard Paint It Black, or Satisfaction, or Beggar's Banquet, and they're like, how can you listen? It's total rubbish compared to that, which is still maintaining always it totally is. Oasis are a bit different though. Born a band in 6th grade. I don't know what 6th grade is. I don't know how it works with primary school. Could be primary 6. Well, catch up. Right, we're trying to run through them. Oh, blue oyster cult. There we go. Oh man, I'm pure so behind. Born a band in 6th grade, pretty much had one all my life. Lucky you. It's like I saw there's a magazine in my toilet I'm reading just now. It's like there's a ZZ Top film, and it's like it's reviewed or something, and it says that, but yeah, it's like one of the longest ever running like band that's ever run that doesn't have any lineup changes, and their reasoning was, well, no one ever get fired, nobody quit. You're like, well, yeah, can't argue with that. Even stay quiet when you all tune up. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, because you're a drummer. I understand. I don't think that's the same register quite as much now when you get your pedal tuners. I think back in the day when if somebody had a tuner that had a mic on it as well, so it did if someone was sitting there going dunk 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 on a snare drum. You know what I mean? I've even known myself to occasionally hang about while the drums are getting sound checked, which is probably pretty annoying to play, but it's really annoying to listen to. For like a minute. Right. Tom 1. Boom, boom, boom. I'm sure it's more annoying to play than it is to hear, but I'll try and stick him out with that. You supported the Blue Oyster Cult. That's pretty good. I'm impressed. That's I'll run through my entire. What the? It's a stupid wee guitar. I shouldn't see. What happened there was I ended up getting drunk, didn't I? I wasn't playing the guitar while I was getting drunk, so now I can't play. Also, I'm playing on a stupid wee guitar, but for some reason I turned the tone all the way down on you. But they also did, if I'm right, Are You Ready to Rock? Yes, I am. Remember that one. That's cool. well done. I've never my claim to fame is I played with Jesse Ray, and maybe not Jesse Ray's particularly super important, but the people that are on his albums are everyone from Parliament and Funkadelic. Steve Jordan played drums on his album, and he's the only other person who's ever played drums for the Stones because Charlie Watts was full of heroin in 1981 or something, and Steve Jordan played the tour. He's also played with John Fogerty and all these things, and all the people, Bernie Worrell and Michael Hampton and all these people. So I'm kind of one person removed for playing with famous people, but never really played a big gig or with anyone famous. Band politics are stupid. There's no point. I think. Hey, Julie. No, you're not the person that's been bugging me about the vintage V6. Someone else was. I'm saying I used the word bugging in a nice way earlier on, saying that apparently there's different versions. So the one that I had that was in, I did a video, which is the one that this other dude was commenting on. I assume you're a girl. Actually, your name's Julie, but he was saying that the earlier ones aren't as good. They got better when Trevor Wilkinson started doing the hardware, but after that, they lost the right to have they get sued for the Gibson shape. So it became like, if you imagine an SG, it's like this point came out a wee bit to here, and this one kind of went down to here. So it kind of looks like an ESP Viper. But apparently there's a section in the middle, which I think this one might be where it's still shaped exactly the same as an SG, but it's got the Wilkinson hardware. To be honest, because I'm buying these things secondhand and because I can wire them up myself, I'm not really that bothered with the Wilkinson hardware because it's pretty easy to. For me, it's more important to have this part that's good body, good neck, good frets, all that. That's more important than the hardware because I can easily upgrade it. I just do it myself. So I'll put whatever pickups. This one's actually going to be my Tony Iommi guitar. So that'll be fun. The thing that's started to annoy me now because I'm starting to think it's going to be really good. Tony Iommi does not have the big block inlays on his. Obviously, he doesn't have a vintage. He's got a Gibson. I kind of wish it had the spots, but hey, I'm going to do that anyway. But I think the vintage ones are all good. I do agree that the more modern one doesn't look as good. I think the guy who was talking to me earlier on said something about 2000 to 2006. They're this shape, but this is before Wilkinson came in, and then some 2006 to 2012 or something, or 2015. You get this shape with the Wilkinson stuff on it, and then after 2015, they made it that horrible shape that doesn't really look like an SG. Yeah. I want to say 95 during the Balloon Fest. I don't know what that is. The new guitar's due to arrive. It was due to arrive on Friday, so I'd imagine I'll get it on Monday. I don't know. I didn't really want it. I didn't need it because I've got the whole Cauldron of Wings, and it's basically a duplicate of one of them, but it's in really poor shape, and it was 60 quid. So I couldn't really say no, and I took it as a wee bit of a sign. I don't really believe in fate, but I saw it when I first saw it, during the week at some point. And then Saturday, it was going on Saturday, I think. At one point Saturday, I was just sitting there and I was like, I wonder when that guitar's going. Bang, 3 minutes to go. Sitting at 40 quid. It's like, well, I've got to try. It's meant for me. Oh, Jesse V is a legend. He's a bit of a lunatic though. Don't queer the creeper. That's like back on the Blue Oyster Cult. Not like a. Is that anything to do with the Blue Oyster Bar and Police Academy? Like, were they not gay? I don't know. You can't hear gay in the music or in Blue Oyster Cult's music anyway, so I don't know. And each to their own, man. Doesn't bother me. I'm gonna try and catch up. Okay, I check out Blackpool for his original material. I will be having original material on this at some point once I've got the two bands up in the run. Well, it's not really original material with the Black Sabbath band, but with the Cranking House, we've got to write a 40-minute set. We've got 3 songs. We've got 3 songs that are giggable just now, and then another 30 minutes to write for a gig in 6 weeks' time. Woo! That's going to be fun. I'm even writing some of the riffs. Good. Yeah, I'll just get it set down. I've got a few things I've got to post. I've got to post a letter, the return envelope, the return slip to the chap in Lockerbie, Rocket Ronnie, and I've got to send Andrew his pickup back, which I inadvertently stole out of his guitar with a sustainer in it, which I haven't done yet. It's in the envelope, and I've written your address on it, but putting a stamp on it, taking it to the post box, hasn't been done yet. Oh, I'll get down to it. 12 or something, that's cool. Oh yeah. The Thunder from Down Under. Godzilla, yeah, I know there's a song called Godzilla, but I can't remember. Is it Go, Go, Godzilla? I don't remember that. My pal G had our greatest hits. It started with Are You Ready to Rock? Or it was like, Are You Ready to Rock? I just remember the chorus being, Are you ready to rock? Yes, I am. I was like, how can that not be good? 2013, the change of shape. Okay, yeah, totally. Just reach out, pull up an SG. Yeah, well, I do actually. Normally, I've reserved these two spots for my Gibson SG and my Fender Strat, so that people know that even though I've got all these crazy shaped ones, I do know what a good guitar is, and these are better. Yeah. Aria Pro 2 Stray Cat. I'm not sure what the Stray Cat is. I know the cat. If it's Japanese, it'll be amazing. If it's Korean, as in if it doesn't say made in Japan on the neck plate, then it's the same as a sort of £500 guitar you get now, like a PRS SE or a top of the range Epiphone. It's that level. But if it's a Japanese one, then it's the same level as a £1,000 guitar, not a cheap one. Hey Joe, I think I'm near the bottom. I'm still not near the bottom. Yeah, it was but in my defense, I don't know how to play the song right for a start, but also I'm playing it on a stupid wee Flying V that I'd forgotten that I was playing a stupid wee guitar, which does take a little bit of thing. Yes, I know I know it was Aria. Yeah. Yes, I know the shape. It's actually called an RS shape. I sold one a couple of months ago. It was later than the Stray Cat. It was a Japanese one. It was called a Mega Metal, and it was basically exactly the same body, apart from it had a Floyd Rose on it, and it had a slightly pointy headstock, and it said Mega Metal. But it was the same. It was the Stray Cat shape. You know, it's like sort of slightly bigger horn. Same with the Aria bass that Cliff Burton and Metallica played in that awesome video with the one Metallica song I really like, where he play For Whom the Bell Tolls, like in some, like at lunchtime at some open air festival in 1986. And it's just the best thing I've ever heard Metallica do. Even after that, I was like, have I not got that album in CD because I got it in a charity shop or something? Did. There we go. Stuck with CD, Ride the Lightning, something like that, on, and it sounded horrible. Nothing like the live version, which sounded like somebody else had mixed it, whereas Metallica albums from that era, for me, when you hear it, it just sounds like everything's going through like one of those original Korg metal pedal board things, horrible sound things, including the drums. Hey, Devil's Guitarist, Super Bars. That Aria bass is a classic now. Yes, I actually got one. I say it's not the one, the Cliff Burton one. The Cliff Burton one, because Cliff Burton one is really expensive. But from the same page in the catalogue, I got one about just before Christmas. It's a slightly different shape. It's got the same neck, the same headstock, the same pickups as a Cliff Burton one, and it's on the same page of the catalogue. And I got it from Gumtree, and the guy found it at the dump. And he put it up for 45 quid. I was like, pure went, have that. And then I was over at his house 10 minutes later. But I did say to him, I was like, quite a lot of people, I've had like 40 messages since. It must be a pure amazing one. It's like, well, it's not a pure amazing one, but you are selling it for 45 quid. And it's like, so I promised that I was going to keep it because it was awesome. Classic guitar player, and you want to buy an electric guitar, what would you recommend for a classical guitar player? Classical guitar being, well, I don't know. I mean, I think buy a Yamaha. If you don't care about looking cool, buy a Yamaha Pacifica and decide how much you're going to spend on it. Because even the one, I think the cheapest one's about 150, 160 quid. Thoroughly pro level all the way across the board. I had a Yamaha Pacifica this week and for just getting set up, and it was a 600cc, so it was like a £600 guitar, and it was stunning. It really was. It was as good as the Japanese stuff, and it was a modern guitar. It was like, I don't know, it was in the last 10 years or something like that. It had a really good, it had a humbucker in the bridge and a P90 in the neck, a three-way switch, and a coil split for the humbucker. It was a great combination of pickups to get as many sounds as possible out of one guitar, and it really was absolutely lovely. So I would look at a Yamaha, and I would buy it second hand, because the one big downside about a Yamaha is they do lose value quite a lot. You'll see the £600 one, 6 months old for 400 quid. So buy that one. Don't buy a new one. Yeah. No, I mean, even the cheaper Yamaha. What's the one? The ERG. It's one of my biggest ever videos. It was just annoying because the one I did after it was one after I'd done it up, when it was playing much better. And it's like it gets about 100 to the views. It's a really good. It just suffers from being bland. I'm going to stop holding this wee silly guitar, which is actually pretty good considering it's really small. The trick is, if you've got a guitar of this size, this is quite a high quality one, but even a cheap one, put 12s on it, because it will not hold tune with 10s on it. If you put 10s or 9s on a guitar that's 19 or 20-inch scale, the strings are too floppy to work, so you tune it, and as soon as you touch them, they go out because they're not taut enough. Whereas if you put 12s on it, it feels like you've got 9s or 10s on a full scale. It's that tension. It's not pure super mega floppy. I'll hold the most. I'll hold what I think is the prettiest guitar ever, and I'm still deciding whether I'm going to use this. Oh God, it's heavy. Yeah. So I mean, this thing is like, I don't know what. Even once I've polished it up, but that's like a pure inch thick rosewood top. And when was the last time you saw an inch thick rosewood top on a guitar? I mean, and I'm even including custom shops and PRS and all that. Kind of is a PRS. It's 25-inch scale, which PRSs are, which is kind of a Gibson being 24 3/4 and a Fender being 25.5. They've just went, no, in the middle, 25. Got coil splits, which were quite a thing in 1980 or 79. This one's an 80, I think. This one's 80, but that one's a 79. And that's a 79. A Yamaha ERG 121 and a starter amp. Yes, awesome, fantastic, but have a look at getting one that's secondhand and in brilliant condition. So instead of paying, I'm going to be probably miles off, but I'm going to say that Yamaha ERG pack with a 10 amp costs 150 quid. I think you could probably get a second-hand one of the guitar in mint condition. Somebody who's bought it for their kid on Christmas. Last Christmas, they played it for a week, and it's basically not been touched since then. So all it needs is a wipe and new strings, and you'll get that for half that price. But for that, totally worth it. Amazing. You will take a big hit. That's the difference between buying that and see if you buy like a Squier Telecaster, because you do not find, or at least in Scotland, or probably the UK as a wide, you do not find Telecasters cheap. I can't pick up Telecasters for under 100 quid. And the thing is, if you look at the current Squier range, the Telecasters start at 150 quid, just the same as the Strats do, but you can pick up Strats any day of the week, but there's never any Tellies. So if you're looking to resell it or upgrade, start with a Telly. Malko and his Falco. Malko actually came from partly Rock Melodious, Falco, I quite like that, and also it was actually on my Game Boy many, many years ago. There was a game called Zelda, the first Zelda game on the Game Boy, the first game I ever completed, and I typed in Malcolm as my name, and there wasn't enough letters, so it just said Malco, and I liked that, so that's how it stuck. The sustain from these guitars are pure silly. These are super going up in price though. I'm really looking forward to getting the polish on this one. It's like, it's hard to, I mean, I don't know. And it wasn't until after I bought this, actually it was my pal Wayne actually. So I put, oh, John Fogerty plays one of them. And I was like, John Fogerty, being my all-time super guitar hero of all time, plays one of these. And then he sent me a picture and it's like, yeah, in the, I don't know, the mid-80s to the late 80s, this was his prime guitar, was one of these. And he got it in a pawn shop and he could never find another one, so there was only one. And but I'd already bought it by the time I saw that. He had to stop using it because he's a pure American Idol. It's like, and it's like he's playing a Japanese guitar, even though Washburn are or were an American company. It's an import guitar, and there was lots of sneakiness where it doesn't actually say "Made in Japan" on it, and maybe the brochure said Washburn, an American classic, because they did make guitars in America like up to the 20s or the 30s or something. I think during the First World War, the Second World War, they stopped making guitars and started making bullets and bombs and stuff like that. And then the name was obviously bought again in the late 70s, and then they started making electric guitars. It's not in tune. This is a Washburn Falcon, 1980. If you look them up on eBay, they're still there. There's a bit of a difference. If you're looking for these, there's a huge difference between the sort of 1978 to 1982 are like this. So you get a carved top, through neck, weighs a ton, total premium. And then when you get to 1983, they kept the same names, but they became this, which is, I would say, equivalent of a Gibson just now. It's still a great guitar by any standards. It would still be £1,000 just now, but it's flat top, it's set neck. This one's got a Floyd Rose on it. It's got a more normal neck profile. Still awesome, but not the best guitar you've ever seen, which these are. It's like, and it does come down. I have looked at, the custom shoppy type things. It's like just when you're in, well, my local biggest guitar shop's Guitar. You go in there and look at the guitars at like $5,000 and stuff like that, and it's like they don't have through neck, clampy bridge, DiMarzios, an inch thick rosewood cap, ebony fretboard. Those fret inlays being the best fret inlays ever. It's kind of like a brass ring inside it. Unbeatable. Hey Stephen, how's it going? How are you enjoying your t-shirt? You are quite late. I've been on for an hour and 17 minutes. I've drank 2/3 of a bottle of Bucky. Pretty steaming. The sweat's coming out of me, even though I remember to turn off the heating before I started doing it this time. Great. Iraqi people play Arabic instruments. I had a what was the keyboard? The keyboard I had a big massive Korg that was big with the Arabic things. Whenever you looked up any demos of this keyboard, it was a Korg IS50. It was always people from the Middle East playing, because that keyboard, unlike any other one, it did the Arabic scale. It didn't have the equal temperament, which all us Westerners know. The Bach thing, where it's like you divide an octave into 12, and it's like, I think in the Arabic music thing, they've divided it into something else, so it kind of sounds really weird. Not I'm saying it's not awesome, it's just because we're so trained to hear music in these intervals, it sounds really strange when another type of interval is used. I don't know if they divide it into 10 or into 15 or something, but it's kind of really strange. An Iraqi thrash band, that could be awesome. One of those things, if you start using the odd scales, it could be super interesting. Japanese stuff. Been practicing Paint It Black. Paint It Black's awesome. We're playing an E minor and B, yeah. The most fun of that is when you're having an acoustic jam sing along when everyone's steaming and you get to the end bit where you're just E minor and B. Six notes to scale. It could be. I'm sorry. I don't know. It could be something like that. You do get crazy stuff that sounds nuts when it's used, and it's like, even see if you use it sort of sparingly, because I think you can have like a song that's in normal temperament, but then you just stick the solo in and crazy stuff. Oh, Gary, you were talking about the ones you didn't know. Well, nobody knew any better. I mean, my first bass was a Westone Spectrum DX bass. I bought it for 40 quid, used it in my first band for about a month until I could afford a better one, and then sold it for 20 quid. That's a Westone Spectrum DX. I just didn't know. I mean, I'd never changed the strings on it ever. It was manky, but I wanted a Gibson EBO or an Epiphone EBO. I didn't want Westone. I mean, that Westone's probably worth 200 quid now. And now I would really love it. Westone, I mean, Matsumoku built, and I remember laughing at the back of my Aria ZZB bass or ZZB bass. And it was like on the back, it says a Matsumoku product. I was like, this is pure ridiculous because it's like an Explorer and it's turquoise sunburst. It's like, it was, at the time, it was amazing. And I was like, Matsumoku product. Haha. It's great. It's really racist. I'll not leave that on. But this was 20 years ago. And when you were allowed to be, when it wasn't realised it was racist. And I just thought it was really ridiculous. And I sold that I traded it in against my Epiphone EBO and I got £60 for it. And I regretted that for nearly 20 years. And after about 5 or 10 years, I started realizing Japanese guitars were amazing and thinking, Matt Aria ZZB was amazing. And then after 20 years of looking for it and never seeing, because mine had a maple fretboard, I saw a couple that had a rosewood fretboard. Mine was maple. I was like, you're right. Once I see the maple one, and then I saw it on Facebook Marketplace in the south side of Glasgow, and it was my one. Type. I was literally in tears when I went in. When I went to the guy's house, I was so out of it, like with nerves and stuff. When I got there, I went into the guy's house, and I went to go up the stairs because I assumed his house was up the stairs. And he was like, up here, what, you need in the toilet or something? And it's basically his bathroom was upstairs, but the rest of his house was downstairs. That's how out of it was. And I saw it, it was just like, because it was like I recognised the dents in it. The guy, as soon as I saw it, I was like, up here, oh my God, there's one there. That's brilliant. And then it said, like, up here, yeah, it's got some extra screw holes in the bottom. I can't explain. It's like, I can explain them. I used to have a mad stand thing that I stuck on it so you could lean it against the wall. Terrible. Oh. 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 Hold on, I'll scroll up a little bit. I'm starting to get a little bit drunk now. That's awesome. I think maybe been up this morning. In the studio this morning. Oh. Lindsay Buckingham, I know that one. That's a horrible looking thing. It's like it's kind of like a sort of. It looks like it's came off a pirate ship, basically. That's the one, isn't it? In B7 AD2. It sounds a bit difficult. I don't think the Stones played that. I'm pretty sure they're just bit in tune. I've seen the micro frets things. I don't know. I struggle enough with what's on it. Anyways, even as I was talking to someone earlier on about pedals, it's like if you give me too many options, I get overwhelmed really, really quickly. Even like on an amp, I just basically I used to set all the dials to 12 o'clock until about one. We went into the studio once with after the end Black Sabbath band during the lockdown about 6 months ago, and I was talking to Craig the guitarist, and he's like, "I can just set the EQ to 666," and it was like pure. So from now on, basically, instead of setting them at 12 o'clock, I'll just set it to 666. Number of the bass, and then adjust it from there. But when you take too many things, I just give me a sound, and I'll work with it. There's so many variances you can do with a guitar. It's hard to. I don't have. I can't. It becomes too much as soon as you start putting lots of effects in. Same with the guy earlier on who was talking about, stacking pedals and stuff, and it's like I'm making it up when I'm going, and it's like I just want a sound that's got everything that I want in it, and it's kind of you get that from a really good amp that's just all set at, well, I was going to say 12, but 666, so that'd be like 555, but actually 666. It should just sound, and that's what that and that, which are the two amps that I really love, do. Amazing. Yeah. You're saying there, sci-fi, about getting rid of that guitar. I have been so careful about making sure I definitely want to sell a guitar ever since I sold that Aria bass. And it was just, it really ate away at me. Every other guitar I've ever sold, I've always been very much a case of, right, is this going to be another Aria ZZB? What I'd love to do if I could never be bothered, which I can't be, if I went through all my earlier YouTube videos, like up until it was maybe 3 years ago, I got it back. All the ones up there, so maybe 8 years. The number of times I probably mentioned that Aria ZZB and how I lost my bass, and I was always regretting it. Of all the ones I've ever sold, that was the one that and I got the exact same one back with the same dents and everything on it. Amazing. It'll never ever leave my hands ever until I'm dead either. I don't know. I mean, he's talking there about the Lindsey Buckingham guitar. I have no idea what they cost, but they're not cheap. I did talk to a girl once who had one, and it was thousands of pounds. I don't know. It might be a really good guitar. I mean, I can't knock. Maybe it looks, sounds, and maybe it sounds and plays the best guitar I've ever played. As soon as I played it, it would make sense. It's just a Hackett. It's Hackett. Oh, yeah. Still want the coveted Yamaha SGX 2000. I don't know about the SGX, but I know an SG 2000 is... The thing about the SG 2000, the SG 1000 would might beat this in a fight. But you've never seen an SG 2000 for cheap. You've never seen an SG 2000 for under 1,500 quid or £2,000 or something. Ever since I ever even knew what guitars were, Yamaha SGs were always super expensive. I've actually got one, an SG 200. There's only 1 0 different, but it's kind of like a sort of Les Paul Junior version of it. So it's flat top, no binding, but still the build quality still there. It just doesn't have any binding or fancy inlays or any of that stuff, or the carved top. But I mean, amazing. I saw Alice Cooper band 5 years ago in Glasgow, the SACC Hydro, and they, for the last 3 songs or something, they had the original Alice Cooper guitarist. His main night is either Dennis Dunaway. I'm showing my ignorance here. Michael Bruce. I can't remember which one was the guitarist. I kind of know the names, but I don't know who played what. And he had an SG 2000 and a Marshall stack on stage. And they had, I think, maybe at least 2 or 3 guitarists during that, all using their radio mics and stuff, and their Ibanez. What's the girl who uses the Ibanez? All that. And it sounded great. And then when you actually heard somebody playing an actual cranked Marshall 50 watt through 2 cabinets and an SG, it was just glorious. I think we were only about 3 or 4 rows back from the front, and it was just like, when this came out, it was just like pure da-da! This is what a guitar should sound like, mofos. And it was just absolutely glorious. Nippon Rippers prefer the Japanese. 4 or 5K, maybe they are 4 or 5K, but I mean, there is a point where it's nice to pay for the fancy stuff sometimes. I mean, I can't argue that, this being what I reckon is probably the prettiest guitar ever. It does have the fancy stuff. It's got the binding, it's got the binding on the neck and the brass and the fanciness and the overlay, the fancy top and the veneer and the headstock and the neck through. It's nice, but if you compare this to the cheap one being, oh God, this weighs just as much. The Hawk, right? It's a significantly cheaper guitar, but it's the same guitar. It's got an ash top. Look at the figuring on that. That's just the bog standard for 1979. It's still neck through, but it's only 3-piece. It's got the same pickups, doesn't have coil splits, it's got less binding. Well, it does have binding on the neck, doesn't have the fancy fretboards, doesn't have any binding on the headstock. Same guitar though, and at the time I think this was just more than half the price of this one. I don't know who would. This is obviously beautiful, but if it's just you know, if you're talking, I can't remember the exact prices. This was 300 and this was 500, something like that. You're just going to buy that. Buy that and spend 200 quid on booze. This is maybe my favourite one just because it's got that, everything that's on this on a technical level is the same as this, but this one just has that, what you're going to pay extra money for the fanciness, the ebony, brass rings, 5-piece neck through, rosewood top, all that. But as Trevor just said there, into Japanese guitars, I can't see past them. I think now it's become almost like one of your football team type things, whereas I'm just pure, oh, Japanese guitars are awesome. Actually, yeah. ESPs, I'm not paying. I don't know ESPs. I do have one ESP. It's a Kramer Focus. Anyone wants some MMK45 pickups? Me! Pick me! MMK45s are really strange sounding pickups, but very similar to DiMarzio Super Distortions, apart from more bite. People dug them out. They might be worth quite a lot of money, though, if you look at them. Assuming, of course, you're in the UK. MMK45s. The thing I always thought with the MMK45s is they're really bright, right? It's dead easy to take the brightness off. You've got the tone control. So if you just run the tone down to like 7 or 8, they sound like normal pickups. But try adding that tone. If you've got ones that sound like you're at 7 or 8, how do you make it brighter? You can't. So it's giving you the maximum sound, and then you can take stuff using subtractive synthesis, take away some of the high end, and then suddenly you've got fantastic pickups. I don't know John McKeoch. Yamaha made a second guitar for him. I don't know. I'm sure he's good. You're talking about the ash front. Well, this has got the ash back, which is the same thing. And see things like it's got a matching truss rod cover. And see, look at the way it lines up, because this truss rod with this cover was actually cut out the same piece of wood as this. How I think they did that, though, looking at it, is it didn't come from in that hole, right? But what they did was they had the body blank and they sliced a bit off the whole guitar, right? And then they cut out this bit out the slice. Yeah, so if you imagine in the actual tree, this piece of wood would have been sitting here. Do you know what I mean? That's how the grain almost lines up on them, but not quite. It's because it is from this piece of wood. It is from there. It's numbered and coded so it matched, but it's not actually from this hole. It's just, if you imagine it, a piece sitting on top of this, like if you sliced like 5 mil off it, that's what you make this out of. Awesome. Oh. A Shaftesbury. I have one Shaftesbury. Shaftesbury is another one of those. I've actually got a guitar just now, an Antoria from my pal Ronnie. He gave it to me because I'm going to sell this. But I think some years, 10 or 20 years ago, someone told me it had really expensive pickups in it. So I'd like to take the really expensive pickups out if they're worth more than the guitar. So I had a shot at the guitar. Thing was amazing. It was just like basically Shaftesbury were like Antoria, like Avon Rose Morris, like CSL, these Grant. These were companies that were based in the UK, and they basically ordered in 100 Les Pauls and sold them in their shop, and you could get them from the factory, the same factory that made Ibanez and all that, and you could spec it out, get whatever name you wanted put on the headstock, get whatever pickup choice you had, and you would maybe buy a pallet of these guitars, and that's what we got. And Shaftesbury, I've actually been in the shop on Denmark Street that sells Shaftesbury, because Shaftesbury Avenue runs down the back of Denmark Street in London, something like that, and they had, I don't know, 10 Shaftesbury guitars. They were all £1,000, but you know, like the 70s ones like yours. I've got a Shaftesbury Resonator, and they were kind of there, priced a little bit too much for anyone to buy as a sort of historical look. We are the shop that imported these, but you get amazing ones. Play the Washburn. You do realise I've drank nearly 3/4 of a bottle of Bucky and I've been on for an hour and a half. I'll try tuning the Washburn. I'm actually thinking at this gig of using this because I've mentioned it. So my pal's having the drummer in my band Cranking House is having a sort of retirement do super party, and he lives out in the country, so he's having a jam, and it's like he's in 3 bands currently. He's in a punk band he's been in for years. He's in the Cranking House band, which I'm in playing the guitar, and he's in a Led Zeppelin tribute band, which kind of the Cranking House band I'm in, where that Led Zeppelin tribute band. They asked me after I'd been in the band for a couple of weeks, it's like, we used to be a Led Zeppelin tribute band, do you want to play guitar? And I was like, I'm already playing bass in the Black Sabbath band, right? And Black Sabbath to me are the kings and better than Led Zeppelin. So I was like, I'm not that much of a Jimmy Page fan to be able to play very much. I can play everything, or I can have a stab at everything Tony Iommi ever played, but Jimmy Page, I'm not enough of a fan, so I didn't join. And then they found a guitarist who's actually the guy I bought my Yamaha SG200 off him, so I know him. And then once he found a guitarist, he's like, all right, Malcolm, we're going to start the Zeppelin band, do you want to play bass? And it was like, no. Again, also, if that happened, it's the singer and the drummer from that Cranking House band that would be doing the Led Zeppelin thing. So if it was the singer and the drummer, and then I went in, it means there's 3 of us from the one band, so I didn't want to... It'd feel a bit awkward with Nick, who's the bass player in Cranking House, not really being in the band anymore. It's like, we're doing this other thing without you, so I didn't want to do that. Also, not that much of a Led Zeppelin fan. Yeah, so ultimately it comes down to there's 4 bands on. The 3 that Ali's in, so it's Ali's punk band, Ali's Cranking House, which I'm in, and then the Led Zeppelin band, and then it's the Black Sabbath band, all playing in one night. So I've got to take 2 basses and 2 guitars, and I'm already taking that bass for the down-tuned Sabbath stuff, and my Epiphone for the up-tuned Sabbath stuff. So I'm going to take 2 guitars. I'm thinking of taking this purely to show it off. Are we on? We've got sounds. They are unforgiving guitars, though. Very difficult to play. It sounds amazing when you get it right, but if you hit a bum note, it really sticks out. Says flat. Put another track in. That's not good enough. Sounded too weak. This is it. How much louder that is. Just. Oh, we're going reggae. Yeah, it's really difficult to do that. Hold on. I've got to try to do it on the beat. So 1, 3, 4. Try to sustain it. These are also elixir strings that are at least 5 years old. Single coil. I don't know, is that reggae? Sort of. Not holding tune though because it's been in the attic for so long. So you can't expect any guitar, it doesn't matter how good it is, if it's been in a different temperature zone and then you bring it into another temperature zone and then try and tune it, it's going to heat up or cool down. I'm trying to catch up with the sound. I think my confidence is a little bit boosted. Maybe it's because I'm a bit drunk to actually play this guitar. It's just so unforgiving. And this hasn't been played in like a year or something like that. I should really treat this to new strings. I'm going to treat it to a polish first though, because it's quite cloudy and this could really pop with that restorative stuff. Did I put my in the freezer? No way. Did I put? It's red wine. I've got some class. Red wine should be served warm. As I was going to say there, the famous users of said falcon are Manny from Nazareth played one. Mick Box from Uriah Heep played one. There should be a list. Join the Washburn. This hasn't been played in about 3 years. It will definitely need tuned. This is the cheapy one. But I'm saying cheapy one. It was cheap compared to the other ones, but still better than any, excluding the original Epiphones and the ones that were in the 80s in Japan, any Epiphone. Wow, these strings are old. So this is just like a cheapy version, so it's a bolt-on neck. Still got the carved top though. Doesn't have push-pull coil splits anymore. Doesn't have the harmonic lock bridge, but still got quite a good bridge still through neck. This one, unfortunately, used to be yellow, which would have been amazing having this in yellow, but it's been stripped. That was why it was cheap. So it kind of looks a bit like I used to have a toilet seat that looked like this. I actually got my pal Dava to print out the Washburn logo for the headstock. It's got Goto pickups, Goto, because they misspelled how to spell the name of their own company. So they are Goto, as in Gotoh, but for a year they were called Go2 because they misprinted it when they translated it into English. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in some ways this guitar's better than the expensive ones. Kind of feeling the same way with the bass as well. It's much easier to play and it's much more forgiving, which if you look at it from the sort of being the cheaper one, being the sort of beginner model, it makes sense. This doesn't punish you the same way. You get much more let off with being a little bit sloppy on this guitar. It doesn't sound as good when you play well as the through neck ones, but it's got normal sustain. And the only reason I'm not sponsored by Elixir Strings, but I saw a thing where you ever heard of Scott Grove? Look him up on he's not a big YouTuber. He's too honest and people don't like him. Kind of like me a little bit. Say things that piss people off and they get tons of abuse. He gets tons of abuse in his comment feed as well from just saying it what he thinks. You know, like not saying, oh, the Seymour Duncan JB is the best pickup in the world ever without even having tried one, or all the forums say this. He's got his own opinions, whether he's right or not. Can't argue that. I don't agree with him. He's wrong about quite a lot of things about Washburn, but I mean, look up Scott Grove. He's good. I don't know if he likes these or not. I can't remember what my point was about that now. I'm now getting drunk enough to not really remember what I was talking about 3 minutes ago. Yeah, so this is a Raven, a 1981 Raven. In 1981, the Raven, they put decent tuners on it. Basically, they put the same tuners that are on the expensive ones in 1981. The 1981 one has a hexagonal backplate, which is normally a sort of round colour from earlier than that. That's kind of it. So FGTH, I'm going to have to think about who FGTH is. It's not Fogarty. I don't know who FGTH is. Is it going to be pure obvious when you say when you type in John in a second who FGTH is? I'm going to go like that. Obviously, it's Pink Floyd or FGTH. I bet you I know what it is as well. I bet you it's pure obvious, but because I'm not that much of a fan, I don't know how to abbreviate it properly. Like Five Finger Death Punch. I still, honestly, I saw them at download. I can't remember what they were like, but I do know from talking to two groups of folk that half the Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Of course it is. Yes, they were a Washburny band. Actually, my pal Alan has a guitar that he bought off the guitarist in Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Is that right? It's a Grant Les Paul. That might not be right. Thanks very much. Scott Grove has done massive tours and stuff like that. To be totally fair, I started this YouTube channel because partly I had guitars that didn't exist on YouTube. At the time when I started it, there was guitars that you couldn't search them out, so I was the only person doing it. The other thing, I was totally against was when you get videos where it's basically the shot is this. So you see like the body of the guitar and some unknown player. You can't even see the whole guitar, and there's no talking, and they just play blues as a sort of demo with hundreds of effects on. And I was like, yeah, that's crap. I don't want that. My whole point was I was at least not going to do what I've turned into, being like a mad person who just talks at the camera, just going slowly insane on their own, saying whatever they want. I was just going to be a bit more of a hello, here's the guitar, and then a wee couple of minutes talking about it, and then playing something. Actually, someone commented the other week, it was on one of my pedal reviews, it was amazing seeing someone who wasn't playing shredding on it. I was kind of playing the sort of thing that he wanted to play. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what I meant. You know, it's like, here's a distortion pedal. Here's what it sounds like with some open chords and a bit of riffage. There's no pedals on. And we try a few different things. But it's not processed. All the sound comes out that mic. I know the sound isn't as good on the live stream as it is when I do it normally, and even it's a bit quiet. But my main thing was I wanted it to be a mic and an amp, so it actually sounds kind of like what it sounds like in the room, rather than going into Pro Tools and then having reverb and all this stuff added to it. No, none of that. This is just basically this. Whether it's the sound you like or not, it's not the case. What I'm saying is, if you were in this room and you had like a wee Laney VC15 set at 12 o'clock all the way, or 666 now on the EQ, and a guitar just plugged straight into it, would sound like this. Not if you had this guitar and this amp and Pro Tools and 25 effects pedals and compression and all these things would do it. Oh, the power of love. The power of love. Dun, 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 dun. Did someone not just mention the power stations? That's not Power of Love, though, is it? Fuck Gibson. Yeah. Yes, Daniel, I was in the studio earlier on today. It was awesome. We've only been in the studio twice in the last year and a bit, so we're not quite at the level of posting things. Obviously, I get copyright hits. We got copyright hit for, I think it was 6 songs we did in the studio today, and we got 7 copyright hits. 6 Black Sabbath songs and 1 song by some band called Tizami or something. And it's like, basically, we're a Black Sabbath tribute band, so it was a Black Sabbath song we were playing that they thought was some other band called Tizami. So I don't want to stick them into my videos because of the copyright restrictions, but I will put them up once we've got something good. Or once we at least... I just feel that you can't be that good after not having played for a year and then playing twice. So coming up, there'll be some stuff like that coming up. The power of love. I do like Huey Lewis in the News. Their video for Hip to Be Square is fantastic, and I want to steal it. I'm going to put it into the Cranking House band as an idea, because I've got that GoPro and I've got various clamps that attach it. If you've never seen the Hip to Be Square video, check it out on YouTube. It's awesome. Yes, I like... as people ask me what other YouTubers I watch, I like Josh from JHS, because he's got something that Scott Grove's got, and I think the Captain from Anderton's has as well. They're genuine, and I hope that I'm trying to... Well, I am, but I don't know whether I come across that way. It's like I noticed the video he did, was it yesterday or the day before, the Josh guy, and it's like pedals that are obviously shit because nobody buys them. And it was like just being completely obvious, going like that, Pierre, I'd make all these pedals, like 20 in the range or something. And I spent ages on this one, and I think it's amazing, but nobody buys it, so it must be shit. That kind of thing. And I think I kind of like that honesty, even though it's his own stuff. The Captain from Lee Anderton from Anderton's is the only reason I continue watching the Andertons thing as well, because he, although it's his company, and yes, he's doing it to make money and all this stuff, if it's something he doesn't like, he just goes, I just did, yeah. You know, it's like 7 strings, and it's like, yeah, I totally get it. I understand why you don't like it. And it's totally fine not to like it. Everyone can't like the same things. Great. I quite like the guy from, is Wampler the guy? I think he's quite good as well. I'm not really a pedal guy. Obviously, my girlfriend's going to phone me up and go, I'm a pedal guy. You get 20 lined up. I do, but I don't use them. I'm not a pedal guy, even though I do have, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 if you include foot switches and the looper and the drum pits. I've got 20 pedals plugged in, but I pretty much could get away with just one. Yeah, no, it's like there are good YouTubers out there. I find that I suffer from just not liking folk a bit. Sometimes really the content is kind of secondary a little bit. I mean, I've been watching I've mentioned this before, a guy, I haven't seen him for ages. I need to subscribe to his channel. His name's Yerk something, and it's the slingshot or the crossbow channel he's got, and he does what I do with guitars, apart from he makes crossbows. So he's got like a crossbow that's made of plywood, and it's got like a magazine that takes 10 bolts, and he can be able to watch this, and he's rapid firing bolts, and it's hilarious. It's brilliant, and it's like, I have no interest in crossbows whatsoever, but this guy's enthusiasm is just pure compelling watching. Same with a couple of guys. There's a guy that does Star Wars figures, but I'm not interested in Star Wars figures at all. I do watch The Mandalorian, but it's just because they're so excited about it. I'm like, yeah, this is great. Whereas I can watch something about like guitars that I like, and if the guy doing it's just pure smarmy and snobby, I'm not interested in it. Is it York Sprev? It could be. I don't know. He goes, ha, 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 at the end of that prayer. Yes, this fires 10 bolts in 10 seconds. Love the guy. Hilarious. Mr. White, House of Broken Love, Great White, nice. Great White. I think I've heard of Great White. I don't really know Hair Ballad, although a lot of the guitars I like are from that era. Like your Frankie Goes to Hollywood, and basically there was a pure raft of stuff early 80s, which I was too young to see, using Washburns and Ibanez and Aria and all that, kicking about all over the place. I went through a state when I used to watch telly, pure anti-BBC now, because it's just now I know what's going on. It's like, if you still think the BBC tell the truth, then think about it. They're not. It's pure political propaganda, kind of like when you think about Russia in the 40s and you go, oh, look, Stalin telling people that, oh, it's like, it's the same thing we're getting right now. It's less obvious. Priests are awesome. I still haven't found Firepower. I know I bought, before I moved to this house, I bought Judas Priest Firepower, and it's awesome on vinyl. Might even be a double record. I can't find it. I've looked through all the records. It's just, I've put it into the wrong bit when I transferred them out. I mean, I've got like 1,000 records or something like that. If I had more room in here, I don't know. Everyone who ever comes in here to buy a guitar goes, Jesus, this is the size of your room. It really literally is. It's 7 feet by 7 feet in here. 8 feet. That's me touching in line with the window. 3 meters by 4 meters max. So I don't have room for records. But Priest are total killer. Never used Washburns though. I also think about, I'm going off at pure tangents, coming up to 2 hours, so I'm going to start winding it up. But Glenn Tipton's guitar that he had in the 80s, it's kind of like a sort of spike that goes down like this. I think it might be a Kramer, actually. Never seen anyone copy that, and he had that in like 1986. So that's like a pure unique design that no one's ever copied. It's pretty horrible, but I have to respect him for having his own guitar shape that honestly doesn't look like anything else. Maybe, is it St. Vincent it's called? Is it Music Man make a St. Vincent guitar, which is kind of like a sort of cool hipster version. It's kind of like sort of square around the corner, but it doesn't have the big point on it, so it's not a metal version, but it's kind of similar. Victim of Changes, BBC were created as like a mouthpiece. Well, the name's in the title, isn't it? British. All right. Priest. Can I even play any Priest? Oh, I should. I wish I could play Painkiller. Actually, the first song for Priest that really got me was Electric Eye going into, or something going into Electric Eye. The first song on Screaming for Vengeance. Amazing. Aye. So, Victim of Changes, I'm not sure. Victim of Changes is one of those songs that doesn't actually say Victim of Changes in the chorus, so I'm not 100% sure what the verse, what song it is. I know it's one of the good ones. I know it. It might even be on Sad Wings for Destiny. The same thing happens with Black Sabbath ones. Like, you remember Sweet Leaf? Because it goes, I love you, Sweet Leaf. Whereas, like, Lord of this World, you're like, well, what's that one go like again? Or any of the even Spiral Architect, does it even say Spiral Architect in the lyrics? You know, it's not pure obvious. Yeah. As a Kramer still gets out, it gets like an up, sort of like an up down to the floor. I've heard someone else who knows Albert Lee. My pal Scott was a guitar tech on a tour, and he was his guitar tech, and he said he showed him how to play Country Boy, and it was like in the airport, sitting, waiting for 3 hours for a plane. Albert showed him how to play. I can't even attempt to play it, and it was like Scott's pure amazing on the guitar. And he's like pure blown away by it. And I've heard lovely guy. I've seen him one time, and he was playing with Bill Wyman's Rhythm Kings. I went to see Bill Wyman. Me and my pal just got drunk and went because it was fuck, it's in Glasgow, why not? And then it's like, well, I mean, that's that guitar looks like that Albert Lee guy who did the thing, man. It's like, honestly, Albert Lee, Bill Wyman's band. I think my pal Scott did a thing. I don't want to stick him in, but apparently it was a bit creepy, Bill Wyman. But the band that he had was it was folk. I think it was kind of like Ringo's All-Star Band, where you get like, I think he had one of the Supremes, and he had like Georgie Fame and all these bands that you kind of sort of know that had hits in the early 60s, and they're just there, like the bass player is just playing the bass, or Bill Wyman's a bass player. The organ player was Georgie Fame or Gene Vincent or something you've read about but you don't really know. And one of the Supremes or one of the Temptations was in backing vocals. Albert Lee was playing guitar, and Albert Lee's guitar all the way through all these old classic songs was just sublime, pure crystal clear strat. It was like one of those it was a Music Man, but he's got his own design, which is kind of horrible if I'm totally honest, but I mean, it's like, it sounded fantastic. And Sad Wings of Destiny pure blew my mind. I was already into Priest by that point. Already had Screaming for Vengeance and Defenders of the Faith, and possibly even getting into the other ones. The one with Diamonds and Rust on it is the Roger Glover produced one. Can't remember. But then when I heard Sad Wings, it was just like pure. What is this? An old man sitting there. His head bowed down. What an album. Absolutely my favourite of all time. Sorry. Any Scorpions fans in the house? I am a sort of Scorpions fan. Well, the Scorps, as I like to call them. Actually, one of the gigs that got cancelled after the lockdown that we were doing with the Black Sabbath band was supporting I think it was the Scorpions, a Glasgow version of the Scorpions, and I was really looking forward to it. Obviously, Rock You Like a Hurricane and all that, but they've got a song. What's it called? It's from the 70s. It's got Uli John Roth on it, and it's got the best guitar riff and sound I've ever heard. He's playing a white Strat, and it's like so almost proggy. I can't even think. Someone will know what it is. Is it called? It's something. It's not that dissimilar to Sad Wings of Destiny. It's a title similar to that, and it's absolutely just amazing. Or is it the Garden of Aaron or something? It sounds pure mystical. Go on, help me out, Scorps fans. What's the one I'm talking about? It's a TV show. I think it might be the Beat Club from Germany. they're all pure flared up and wearing flowery shirts and stuff. And it's is it the Siege or something, or the Attack of Valhalla or something like that? It's just got this, and it's just the most sick guitar sound I've ever heard, and it's utterly amazing. So much so that I looked out my Scorpions live greatest hits. It wasn't as good as this song. Was just absolutely. I'm sure it's Tales of Babe Ulysses, something like that, or the Garden of Armageddon or something. No. And Hawkwind, I know Hawkwind. Hawkwind are great. I've actually got a bit of an acoustic guitar down there signed by Hawkwind. The original band, I think I got. Dave Brock wasn't there, but I saw Nick Turner's Space Ritual, and they signed my acoustic guitar, which was shite, and I converted into a bass. I've since thrown away the guitar because it was so awful, but I sawed out the bit where Hawkwind signed it, so I've got the original, this In Search of Space drummer, guitarist, Nick Turner, and a couple other people who were on whatever that band was. Sails of Sharon. What a riff. Right, so I'm going to give up tonight. We're on for over 2 hours, but look up Sails of Sharon on YouTube. If someone could put the link, that would be even better. And I'm going to watch it, because it's just like, I don't care what kind of music you like. You just, whether you like the song when it gets going, just the guitar sound, how utterly smug Uli John Roth is playing it. He's sitting there just like, he's just pure, he's up here. I know this is the best guitar riff you've ever heard. It's like, I know it. Hey, it's so smug, but it's amazing, absolutely fantastic. I've never heard the studio version, but the live version on that thing, and the singer's kind of about 3 feet tall and wearing flares and doing a sort of disco dance during it. But it's just that the guitar riff is just absolutely brain melting. Okay, rock on, everyone. Thanks very much. Love you all. If you've not already liked, give me a like. I think apparently that gives me money or something, or just makes me come up. And it's great to be back on a Sunday. The Saturday thing, I think, sort of made sense in some ways, but I think the Sunday night is just, it quite suits me, because it means I can get pure super guttered, and it's only 10 o'clock, so I can still go to bed quite early. Rock on. Love you all. Thanks very much. And I know that when I hit this button, it's not going to end properly. It's going to end now. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Rock on. Yay.